Very good afternoon everyone. I am Akshaya from Department of Geology, A.D.M. College for Women. So today I am going to describe about physiographic divisions of India and especially about special note on Himalayas. So the main objective of this video is about to give a brief knowledge about the physiographic divisions of India. What is the introduction? So India is the 7th largest country in the world, as we already know. The country is bounded by the Great Himalayas in the north and the Indian Ocean in the south. It stretches southwards under the Tropic of Cancer. The shape of her country tapers into Cap from near the Indian Ocean. The southern part is flanked by the Bay of Bengal on the east and the Arabian Sea to the west. The entire country is located in the northern hemisphere, that is the northeastern hemisphere above the equator. Next, the Indian subcontinent is characterized by a great and diversified group of physical features. They are classified into the following 6 physiographic units. They are the northern mountain, that is the Great Himalayas, the northern plain, that is the Indo-Gangetic plain. Next one is the Indian desert, that is Thar desert. Next one is the peninsular plateau, then coastal plains and the islands. Before going to Himalayas, we will discuss the second, third and fourth, then finally we will go to the Himalayas. The second one is the northern plain, that is the Indo-Gangetic plain. The Great Plain of northern India was formed by the sediments brought down by the river Indus, Ganges and Brahmaputra and the tributaries, and it is popularly known as the Indo-Gangetic and Brahmaputra plain. So the geologists suggest that there was a shallow trough or geosyncline in between Himalayas and the Deccan Plateau during the later geological period of the formation of Himalayas. After the upliftment of the Himalayas, sediments and debris brought down by the rivers begin to accumulate there to form the vast alluvial plain of northern India. Based on the relief features, the northern plain, that is the Indo-Gangetic plain, can be divided into the following 4 regions. They are Babar, Terai, Bangar and Kadar. First one is the Babar. Babar, after descending from the mountains, the river deposits pebbles in a narrow belt. The width of this narrow belt is about 8 to 16 km and it lies parallel to the Shivalik range. This region is known as Babar. All the streams disappear in this region, that is there is no stream in this Babar region. Next one is Terai. Terai lies towards south of Babar belt. In this region, the stream reappears and make a wet, swampy and marshy region. Next one is Bangar. Bangar, the largest part of northern plainland, is composed of the oldest alluvial soil, which is the soil transported and deposited by the river. They lie above the floodplain and resemble terraces. The soil of this region is locally known as Kankar and it is composed of calcareous deposit. And final one is Kadar. Kadar, the floodplains formed by younger alluvium. The soil in this region is renewed every year and is this highly fertile land. Next, we will go to third one, the peninsular plateau, that is the Deccan Plateau. The peninsular plateau is a triangular shaped tableland. It is part of ancient landmass called Gondwana land. It covers an area of nearly 5 lakh square kilometer and spread over the states of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Bihar, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. The river Narmada divides the peninsular plateau into 2 parts, the central highland and the Deccan Plateau. The central highland extends from Narmada river and the northern plain, that is the Indo-Gangetic plain. Then Aravalli is the important mountain range which extends from Gujarat through Rajasthan to Delhi. The Malwa Plateau and the Chota Nagpur Plateau are part of the central highlands. The important rivers drain over the central highlands are Betwa, Champal and Ken. Next one is the Deccan Plateau. The Deccan Plateau is separated by a fault from Chota Nagpur Plateau. The black soil area in the Deccan Plateau is known as Deccan Trap, which is a fissure trap formed due to the volcanic eruption, and it is good for cotton and sugarcane cultivation. The Deccan Plateau is broadly divided into 2 parts. They are the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. First one is the Western Ghats. The Western Ghats run parallel to the west coast of India. It is about 1600 km. The average elevation of the Western Ghats is 1000 meters and the peaks such as Tottabetta, Anaimudi and Mukruthi are present in the Western Ghats. Western Ghats is a continuous and can be crossed through passes like Palghat, Tolghat and Borghat. Rivers like Godavari, Bhima, Krishna flow eastward while the river Tabdi flows westwards in the Western Ghats. Next one is the Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats is a discontinuous slope belt. Its average elevation is 600 meter and it is run parallel to the east coast from south of Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiri Hills. The famous hills in Eastern Ghats are Mahendragiri, Kollimalai and Pachaimalai. The area is drained by Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and our Kaveri river system. Next one is, the fourth one is the Indian desert, that is the Thar desert. The Thar desert lies towards the western margin of Aravalli hill. It is also called Thar desert. It is the 9th largest desert in the world, dotted with sand dunes and different types of barchans. It spread over the states of Gujarat and Rajasthan. This region has semi-arid to arid weather condition and it receives less than 150 millimeter of rainfall per year. The vegetation cover in this Indian desert is low with thorny bushes. Then Luni is the main river in this area. Then fifth one is the coastal plain. The coastal plain in India run parallel to the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal along the peninsular plateau. The western coastal plain is a narrow belt along the Arabian Sea of about 10 to 20 km width. It stretches from Rann of Kutch to Kanyakumari. Western coastal plain comprises of 3 sectors. First one is Konkan coast, which runs from Mumbai to Goa. Next one is Karnataka coast from Goa to Mangalore. Then Malabar coast from Mangalore to Kanyakumari. Then the eastern coast. The eastern coast run along Bay of Bengal. It is wider than the western coastal plain. Its average width is 120 km and it is also called Northern Circle and the southern part is called Coromandel coast. The eastern coastal plain is marked by deltas made by the rivers like Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and our very own Kaveri. The Chilika is the largest saltwater lake in India, which is located in the eastern coast of Odisha, is located to the south of Mahanadi Delta. Then sixth one and final one is the island. India has 2 main group of islands. One is Andaman and Nicobar and second one is Lakshadweep. There are 204 islands in Bay of Bengal called as Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. This island extends from north to south in the Bay of Bengal and they are larger in size. An active volcano called Barren Island located in the Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. 43 islands in Arabian Sea called as Lakshadweep Island. The Lakshadweep Islands are located near Malabar coast of Kerala in the Arabian Sea and it covers an area of 32 square kilometers. Kavaratti is the capital of Lakshadweep. These islands are formed by corals and endowed with a variety of flora as well as fauna. Then the first one, the Great Himalayas. The word Himalaya is a Sanskrit word which is a combination of 2 words, Hima and Laya. Hima means snow and Laya means abode. So it's a literal translation of abode of snow, which means the home of snow. The Himalayas. The Himalayas is one of the youngest mountain ranges on the planet and it consists mostly of sedimentary rocks as well as metamorphic rocks. And it extends between latitude 26 degree 20 minutes and 35 degree 40 minutes north and between longitude 74 degree 15 minutes and 95 degree 40 minutes east. The Himalayas are bordered on the north by Tibetan Plateau and on the south by Indo-Gangetic Plain, northwest by Karakoram and Hindu Kush Range and on the east by Indian state of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. The Himalaya extend for about 2400 km along the borders of Jammu Kashmir in the west to Arunachal Pradesh in the east, consisting the extra peninsular region. Himalaya is the youngest and highly unstable landmass of India where earthquakes are frequently originated. Next, how Himalayas are formed. The Himalayas are the youngest mountain chain. It have come out of a great geosyncline called Tethys Sea and that the uplift was taken in different phases, that is 5 different phases. During Permian period, that is 250 million years ago, there was a supercontinent known as Pangaea. Its northern part consists of the present day North America and Eurasia, which is called Laurasia or Angaraland or Laurentia. The southern part of Pangaea consists of present day South America, Africa, South India, Australia and Antarctica. This landmass is called Gondwana land. In between Laurasia and Gondwana, there was a long, narrow and shallow sea was known as Tethys Sea. There are many rivers which were flowing into the Tethys Sea. Some of the Himalayan rivers were older than the Himalayan themselves. We will study this in antecedent and subsequent drainage pattern. We will see in the drainage pattern module. Then sediments were brought by these rivers were deposited on the floors of the Tethys Sea. These sediments were subjected to the powerful compression due to northward movement of the Indian plate, this resulting in the folding of the sediments in the Tethys Sea. India is still pushing inwards, making the mountains in the Himalayas grow taller and taller every year. An often cited fact used to illustrate this process is that the summit of Mount Everest, that is the largest peak in the world, is made of marine limestone from this ancient ocean, Tethys Sea. So this is the picture which shows the how the Indian plate, that is the Indian landmass, moves toward the Eurasian plate and how the Himalayas are formed. 6,000 km plus northward journey of the Indian landmass before its collision with the Eurasian plate. Next, this is the picture also shows the how Himalayas are formed. Next, the collision of Indian plate with Eurasian plate, which is a continental convergent boundary. As the Indian subcontinent pushes towards the Eurasian plate, the pressure is released in the form of earthquakes. This constant crushing of two plates form the Himalayan mountain ranges. Next one is the different phases of the Himalayan formation. The Himalayas do not comprise a single range, but a series of at least 3 ranges running more or less parallel to one another. Therefore, the Himalayas are supposed to have emerged out of Himalayan geosyncline, that is the Tethys Sea, in 3 different phases following one after the other. The first phase commenced about 50 to 40 million years ago when the Great Himalayas were formed. The formation of Great Himalayas was completed about 30 million years ago. The second phase took place about 25 to 30 million years ago when the Middle Himalayas were formed. The Shivalik, the last one, were formed in the last phase of Himalayan orogeny, says about 2 million to 20 million years ago. Some of the fossil formation found in Shivaliks are also available in the Tibetan plateau. It indicates that past climate of Tibet plateau was somewhat similar to the Shivalik hills. The recent studies have shown that convergence of the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate has caused a crustal shortening of 500 km in the Himalayan region. This shortening has been compensated by seafloor spreading along the oceanic ridges in the Indian Ocean. Next one is the divisions, the major divisions of the Himalayas. The Great Himalaya is divided into 5 different parts. First one is the Shivalik, second one is the Middle Himalaya, then the Great Himalayas, then the Trans or Tibetan Himalayas, then the final one is the Eastern Hill, that is Purvanchal. First one is the Shivalik Hill. It is also known as the Outer Himalaya, located in between the Great Plain, that is the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and the Lesser Himalaya. The altitude varies from 600 to 1000 meters and it runs for a distance of 2400 km from the Potwar Plateau, which is located in Pakistan, to the Brahmaputra Valley. The southern slopes are steep while the northern slopes are gentle. The Shivalik width varies from 50 km in the Himachal to 15 km in Arunachal Pradesh. They are almost unbroken chain of low hills except for a gap of 80 to 90 km which is occupied by the valley of Tishta and Raidak river. Next one is the Shivalik range from northeast India up to Nepal are covered with thick forests, but the forest cover decreases towards west from Nepal. The southern slope of Shivalik range in Punjab and Himachal are almost devoid of forest and vegetation. These slopes are highly dissected by seasonal streams called chaws. The valleys are part of syncline and hills are part of anticlines of the folds. Shivaliks were formed last of all the ranges between the age of 2 to 20 million years ago. Shivalik are unconsolidated sand, gravels and conglomerate deposits which were brought by the rivers flowing from the higher ranges. These deposits were folded and hardened due to compression offered by the northward movement of Indian plate towards the Eurasian plate. These Shivaliks are known by different names in different areas. For example, in Jammu Kashmir, they are called as Jammu Hills. In Uttarakhand, they are called as Dundwa and Dang Range. Then in Nepal, it is called Churya Ghat Hills. Then the middle or lesser Himalayas. The middle Himalayas lies in between the Shivalik and the Great Himalayas. It is also called Himachal. Lower Himalayan ranges are 60 to 80 km width and 2400 km in length. Its elevations varies from 3500 to 4500 meter above the mean sea level. Many peaks are more than 5000 meter above sea level and are snow covered throughout the year. Lower Himalayas have steep bare southern slopes and more gentle forest covered northern slopes. In Uttarakhand, the middle Himalayas are marked by the Mussoorie and the Nakthiba ranges. The Mahabharat Lake in southern Nepal is a continuation of the Mussoorie range. East of the Kosi river, the Saptakoshi, Sikkim, Bhutan, Miri, Abur and Mishmi hills represent the lower Himalayas. Majority of the Himalayan hill resorts like Shimla, Mussoorie, Ranikhet, Nainital, Almora and Darjeeling etc. are located in these lesser Himalayas. Lesser Himalayas are called in different regions, different names in different regions. For example, in Jammu and Kashmir it is called as Purvanchal. In Nepal it is called as Mahabharat Lake. Next one is the Great Himalayas, which is a central part of the Himalayas. Its average elevation is 6100 meter and its width is 25 km. It is mainly formed of the central crystalline rocks like granites and gneiss and overlaid by metamorphic limestone. The fold in these regions are mostly asymmetrical with steep south slope and gentle north slope giving hogback topography. These mountains are convexes to the south just like the other two, that is the Shivalik and the lesser Himalayas. Terminates abruptly at the syntactial bend, one in the Nanga Parbat in northwest and other in Namcha Parva in northeast. The mountain range boast of the tallest peak of the world. Mount Everest was first located by George Everest, the Surveyor General of India in 1841, and in 1852 it was established as the highest peak in the world by the Great Trigonometrical Survey of India. Trans-Himalayas. The Himalayan ranges immediately north of Great Himalayan range, also called Tibetan Himalaya, because most of its spots lies in the Tibetan country. The Saskar, the Ladakh, the Kailash and the Karakoram are the main ranges located in the Trans-Himalayas. The Trans-Himalaya stretches for a distance of 1000 km in east-west direction and 3000 meters above mean sea level. The average width of this region is 40 km and the extremities and about 225 km in the central part. In the Nanga Parbat is an important range which is in the north of Saskar range and running parallel to its Ladakh range. Only a few peaks of this range attain over 6000 meters. The Kailash range in western Tibet is an offshoot of Ladakh range. The highest peak is the Mount Kailash, which is 6714 meters. The river Indus originates from the northern slope of the Kailash range. The northernmost range of Trans-Himalayan ranges in the India is the Great Karakoram range, also known as Krishnagiri range. The Karakoram range extends eastward from the Pamir for about 800 km. It is a range with lofty peaks, and it is the abode of some of the greatest glaciers of the world outside the polar regions like Arctic and Antarctic. Some of the peaks are more than 8000 meters above the mean sea level. Like for example, the Mount K2, that is the Godwin Austen, is the second largest peak in the world, lies in these Trans-Himalayas. The Ladakh plateau lies to the northeast of Karakoram range. It has been desiccated into number of plains and mountains. Next, the Purvanchal or the eastern hills. The Purvanchal are the southward extension of Himalayas running along the northeastern edge of India. At the Dihang Ghats, the Himalaya took a sudden southward bend and formed a series of comparatively low hills which are called the Purvanchal. The Purvanchal hills are convex to the west. They run along the India-Myanmar border, extends from Arunachal Pradesh in the north to Mizoram in the south. The Batkai hills are made up of strong sandstone, elevation varying from 2000 meter to 3000 meter and merges into Naha hills where Saramadi lies. It is the highest peak in this Purvanchal. Batkai and Naha hills form the watershed between India and Myanmar. South of Naha hills are the Manipur hills, which are generally less than 2500 meter in elevation. The Bareil range separates Naha hills from Manipur hills. Further south of the Bareil range swings to west into Jaintia, Kashi and Garo hills, which are on eastward continuation of the Indian peninsular block. They are separated from the main block of Ganga and Brahmaputra river. South of the Manipur hill or the Mizo hill, which have an elevation of less than 1500 meters, the highest point is the Blue Mountain, which is in the south. Next, the two syntactial belts. The Himalayas extends in the east-west direction from Indus Gorge in the west to Brahmaputra Gorge in the east. The Himalayan ranges take sharp bend at the both ends. They are called as syntactial bends. The western syntactial bends occur near the Nagaparbat, where the Indus River has cut a deep gorge, and the eastern syntactial bend occurs near the Namche Barwa. Next, the regional division. Before we are discuss about the major division, now we are going to discuss about the regional divisions of the Indian Himalayas. The first one is the Punjab, then the Kuman Himalayas, then Nepal Himalayas, and the Eastern Himalayas. So, this is the map which shows the Punjab, Kuman, Nepal, and the Assam Himalayas. First one is the Punjab Himalayas. The Punjab Himalayas lies between the Indus and Satluj River, and all the major rivers of Indus River system flows through this Punjab Himalayas. The larger portion of Punjab Himalayas is in Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. Hence, they are also called Kashmir and Himachal Himalaya. Karakoram, Ladakh, Satskar, Purvanchal are the major ranges in this section. The general elevation falls towards the west, and the Punjab Himalayas is not cut across by any rivers other than Indus. Next one is the Kuman Himalayas. The Kuman Himalayas lies between the Satluj River and the Kali River, and it spread across three states of India: Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal, and Uttarakhand. It encompasses three physiographic provinces like Kashmir Himalaya, Himachal Himalaya, and the Kuman Himalaya. The best known peaks are Nanda Devi, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Trishul, and Gangotri, which is the source of Ganga. Then the Ladakh Plateau and the Kashmir Valley are two important areas of the Kashmir Himalayan Kuman region. In Himachal Himalayas, the Greater Himalayas is represented by Satskar Range, the Lesser Himalaya is represented by Purvanchal and Daudugar Range, and the Outer Himalayas by Shivalik Range. The southern slopes are rugged, steep, and forested, while the northern slopes are bare and devoid of vegetation. The Kuman Himalayas lies in the Uttarakhand and extends from Satluj to the Kali River. The lesser Himalayas in Kuman Himalaya is represented by the Mussoorie and Naktiba ranges. The Shivalik in this region runs south of Mussoorie range between the Ganga and the Yamuna rivers. The flat valleys between the lesser Himalaya and the Shivalik ranges are called domes or belts, of which Dehradun is the most famous region. Third one is the Nepal Himalayas. It extends 800 km between river Kali in the west to the river Tishta in the east. The Great Himalaya range attains maximum height in this portion. Some of the world famous peaks like Mount Everest, Mount Kanchenjunga, Makalu, Annapurna, Kashindan, Dulagiri are located in this Nepal Himalayas. The lesser Himalaya is known as Mahabharat Lake in this region. The range is crossed by rivers like Gagra, Gandak, and Koshi, etc. In between the Great and the Lesser Himalaya, there are Kathmandu and Pokhara Lacustrine valleys are present. This Shivalik range comes very close to the Lesser Himalaya towards the east and is almost not extend beyond the Narayani, that is the Gandak river. Final one is the Eastern Himalaya, which is occupied the northeastern coast of the northeastern portion of the India. This part of Himalaya lies between the Tishta river in the west and the Diham river in the east. It stretches for the distance of 720 km. It is also known as Assam Himalayas. The Eastern Himalayas occupy mainly the areas of Arunachal Pradesh and Bhutan. The Assam Himalayas showed a marked dominance of fluvial erosion due to the heavy rainfall in this northeastern part. The Himalayas take a sudden southward turn after the Diham Curve, and the hill ranges running in more or less north-south direction along India borders with Myanmar are called Purvanchal. These are known by various local names such as Batibam, Naha Hills, Manipur Hills, Tripura Hills, and Barail Range. Then the extension of Purvanchal Himalaya continues southwards up to the Andaman and Nicobar Island through the Myanmar Range and even up to the Indonesian archipelago, which means a group of Indonesian islands. in the eastern section of Himalayas rise abruptly from the plain of Bengal and suddenly attains a greatest elevation within a short distance from the foot of the mountain. This peak of Kanchenjunga and Mount Everest are only a few kilometers from the plain and are clearly visible from here. In contrast, the western Himalaya rise gradually from the plain through a series of ranges. Their peaks of perpetual snow are 150 to 200 km away from the plain areas. So this is a picture of the Himalayas which is seen from the space. So this is just a fun fact. Did you see the tallest peak of India? If the answer is no, this is the answer. This is Indian 100 rupee note where you see the Mount Kanchenjunga, which is the third highest mountain peak in the world, and it lies partly in Nepal and partly in Sikkim. This is the next we are going to discuss about the Himalayan glaciers. So what is glacier? Glacier is a dense body of ice that is constantly moving under its own weight, that is their own pressure. It is formed by the accumulation of snow which exceed its ablation. Ablation means melting and sublimation over many years. So what is snowline? The snowline on a mountain is a boundary beyond which snow is found throughout the year. It is about 3,500 meters above the mean sea level. The snowline is an imaginary line. Location depends on the conditions such as elevation, latitude, proximity to the sea, climate, wind direction, exposure and the steepness of the slope. In India, the snowline occurs at 4,250 meters above mean sea level. While in Europe, it begins at about 3,500 meters. Further north like poles, the snowline starts at the mean sea level. Next, the snow in Himalaya. In eastern Himalaya and Kuman Himalaya, the snowline is around 3,500 meters above sea level. Whereas in western Himalaya, snowline is about 2,500 meters above sea level. This difference in snowline is partly due to the increase in latitude from 28° north in Kanchenjunga to 36° north in the Karakoram range. But the major factor is precipitation. Precipitation in western Himalayas comparatively low and occur mostly as snowfall, whereas in eastern Himalaya the precipitation is greater and mostly in the form of rain. In the Great Himalayan ranges, the snowline is at lower elevation on the southern slope than on the northern slope because the southern slopes are steeper and receive more precipitation as compared to the northern slope. Then the glacier in Himalaya. Himalaya, the abode of snow, has many glaciers distributed throughout its higher elevation. The Himalaya contains one of the largest reservoirs of snow and ice outside the polar region. The Himalayas have experienced three glacial cycles during the Pliocene and the Pleistocene age. There are about 15,000 glaciers in the Himalayas. Total area of Himalayas is about 5 lakh square kilometers, about 33,200 square kilometers or 70% area is covered by the snow. The snow line varies in different part of the Himalayas depending upon latitude, amount of precipitation, that is the snow, and the local topography. Most recent work by Quinn in 1999 increased the glacier area of Himalaya to about 35,110 square kilometers. Based on the preliminary inventory by the Geological Survey of India, about 8,500 square kilometers of the ice cover is located in the Indian part. Next one is the glacial distribution. Glaciers are found in all geographic areas of the Himalayas, which lies above the elevation required to maintain ice. In some areas, they occur in large number and attain great lengths measurable in tens of kilometers. Such mountain areas in India are the Nanbakshigiri, Gangotri, Kamet, Nandadevi and Kanchenjunga. The principal glacier of the Indian Himalaya including their length are Gangotri 30 km, Zimu 20 km, Milav 19 km and Kedarnath 14.5 km. Next, the glacier in the Karakoram range. The maximum development of glaciers occur in the Karakoram range. Some of the largest glaciers outside the polar and subpolar regions are found in this range. The southern side of this range has many gigantic glaciers. The best one is the Seychen Glacier, which is 75 km long, has the distinction of being the largest glacier outside the polar region. The second largest is 74 km long Purvanchal Glacier, and the third largest is MISS.R.AKSHAYA Glacier, which is 62 km long. Next one is the Purvanchal Great Glacier. The glacier of the Purvanchal range are less numerous and smaller in size as compared to the Karakoram range, and the longest Sonapuni Glacier in the Chandra Valley of Lagoon is only 15 km long. Kuman-Garhwal region glacier. The Kuman-Garhwal region of the Himalayas is the 30 km long Gangotri Glacier, which is the largest in this region, which is the source of Holy Ganga. The Garhwal region lying in the Himalayas, it is bounded on the north by Tibet, on the east by Kuman, and the south by Uttar Pradesh, and the northeast by Himachal. It includes the districts of Dehradun, Haridwar, and Uttarkashi. Next one is the Great Gangotri Glacier, which is the main source of the river Ganga. The Gangotri Glacier, the longest and the complex glacier in the Indian Himalaya, with the largest number of tributaries. Its main trunk is 26 km long, and the overall ice surface of Gangotri Glacier covers an area of 250 square km. And the Gangotri glaciers originate at an elevation of 7,143 meters from the mean sea level in the Chocoba group of peaks and extends between the latitudes 30 degree and 79 degree longitude. It terminates in a snout about 25 km below at Gomukh and at an elevation of 4,000 meters. The Gangotri Glacier feeds the Bhagirathi River and is situated at the transitional zone between the eastern and the western Himalayas. This is the picture of the Gomukh, the main source of Ganga. Next, the significance, that is the uses of the Himalayas. The Himalayas intercept the summer monsoon coming from the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, causing the precipitation in the entire Ganga plain and the northeastern hills, which makes this area as fertile. The Himalaya is a natural defense barrier, but the Chinese aggression on India in 1962 has reduced the defense significance of the Himalayas. Rivers that fed nearly 500 million population of India originate in the Himalayan region. Due to its natural topography and flowing perennial rivers, the Himalayan region offers several natural sites with great hydroelectric power generation potential, and Himalayan forests host wide variety of medicinal plants. So, thank you for listening. Thank you.